Hi, this is Morali from craftmyhealth.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing an interesting podcast that I was listening to earlier in the day. The original podcast was about an hour, and I am trying to condense it in less than 5 minutes for you. Just the main points that you will find very useful for your journey also. So the title of this podcast is, you have to excuse me, I have to change my head from the video and my notes here, so I'm going to be doing a lot of back and forth, so you have to bear with me on that. The title of this podcast is Portion Sizes, Pregnancy and Progress, and the person who was interviewing was one Mr. Sam Lomeli from Tips of the Scale, and the person who was getting interviewed was Katie Eastgate. So this is about Katie's journey from a weight of 359.6 pounds 4 years ago to 180 pounds today. Very impressive, right? It's almost 2x reduction in the weight. And Katie was explaining her mindset, her backstory, and how she got it. And the interview was extremely well done. So let me go over it. Let's first focus on the backstory that Katie was saying. Apparently, she lost her dad when she was 19. She got married early in her life. She had a desk job, a 9 to 5 desk job, and she had an ankle injury. And a lot of things happened in her life that put her in massive depression phase, and she resorted to food as a means of getting rid of her depression. Looks like this is a common theme that I have been personally hearing from a few of the people who put on weight, right? And one thing the interviewer was asking was, has she tried any medication in the past? Has she tried to do anything about it? And apparently she had tried the unsafe pills. She was trying to starve herself to cut down the food intake, and things like she would go into the gym, hire a coach, and go to the gym and just spend like 4 hours at a stretch. Things that you can't really keep up realistically, and she would drop off after some days, and then she will go back to her original routine, right? And the question was, what was the spark? When was the first time that she felt that she has to change, right? Apparently, she felt sick one of the days, and she was hospitalized. And for a week, she was having a mix of chicken broth and ginger ale. That's exactly what she's telling. And she felt bored. Why am I going through this? And why should I be like this? Why can't I be feeling healthy and be healthy and so on? Looks like that was a spark that happened to Katie. And she made few resolutions. And apparently, she said, I need to find a fix that is not short term, it has really be a long term fix, and I have to start tracking my daily calories. And later she found that she was having 4,000 calories every day, which is really in the higher end, right? And she resorted to going with smaller plates and glasses instead of the original larger size plates that she had at home. And one thing interesting that she says is, she would put smaller quantity of food, but she would leave out the last bite. She will not go for it. And that way she is testing her own self-confidence and how much she tells herself, okay, I don't crave for this food. So I think this is more a psychological game she was playing, and she was pretty successful at it. Again, keep reminding that it's a long-term game, and there is no short-term gains out of this whole exercise, right? And the next question is, how do you keep yourself grounded on tougher days? And she says, yeah, my purpose is bigger. My dad passed away when I was 52. Apparently, she was 26 at that time, and she didn't want to end up the same fate that her dad was going through, which is, I think, that's every purpose that everybody will have in our lives, right? And she had her kids, and during that time, she went through pregnancy and she had kids, so she wanted to live for her kids and her husband. And the other thing that she says is, try to understand the difference between hunger and starvation. How do you get in touch with what real hunger was? I think this is an interesting thing that all of us will need to get used to, because oftentimes at the very first instinct of hunger, people go and crave for food. But she said, she gave an answer that's very interesting. Apparently, she quit her day job and she started working for a fast food restaurant as a manager. Okay, and the one that gave her the job itself changed, so she had to keep walking all 8 9 hours. It's like stand up, sit down, that kind of work, right? I mean, to have serve customers and so on. So that burnt a lot of calories as a side effect. And the other thing is, she's seeing all these yummy foods day in and day out, and after some time she is mentally able to detach herself from the craving. It happened as a side effect, which is very I mean, she says it's an immersion therapy for her. That's how she defines it. And the next question is, how is her typical week? Apparently, Kathy did not starve. I mean, she did not stop eating. Whenever she would have a craving, she would go and fulfill that desire. But what she did was, she would fill the food that she's eating, she would make it protein, with lots of protein content. Meaning, she would just take the peanut butter out of the jar, and that's high protein, and then she would eat it. Um, is it a good strategy? I think so, because you cannot suddenly, all of a sudden, quit what you are doing, but you got to transform that energy into something more positive. I think that is the theme behind what he is trying to say here. And the next one is, uh, she recommends people to take pictures when they're in the journey. People often are very shameful to take a photo of themselves, but she recommends people to do it over a period of time. That gives you motivation, extra motivation, whenever you are hitting a plateau or whenever you're feeling demotivated and so on. So I think that is an interesting point that she was bringing up. And the next question is, what tested her during the journey? And Kathy says that her pregnancy, she had 2 kids, and apparently during pregnancy her weight increases, and she didn't know if that is something that she has to be discouraged with, or she should just use that as a motivation. Apparently she used that as a motivation to propel herself forward and then help her with the journey. I think that's an interesting thing that she told. And oh, the next thing is very interesting. She hates gym. She doesn't want to go on the treadmill. She feels that is boring. But what Kathy says is, don't put a mental block for yourself because you don't like to do certain things that are proven to be working for everybody, like going to a gym, right? Apparently, she used that time. She likes cycling. She would get into a cycle, and then go on the street. Or she would keep moving. Just do it. I mean, just get out of your couch and then keep walking, keep running, and so on the street and so on, right? And this is just a summary of what she was telling through the interview, and the interviewer did a very good job in summarizing it. Number one is, you have to extend more and more control over your choices. The choice is yours, but you got to extend more control over your choices. That's number one. Number two is, be consistent. Whatever you do, just try to be consistent at it. That is very important. And third one is, don't feel deprived. And you can't starve, and you got to substitute whatever junk food that you're eating with something more healthier. I think that is the point there. And if you don't go to a gym, don't worry about it. Find alternate ways of expending that calorie. I think that is an important thing. Be positive. It's gonna happen. I mean, taking care of the basic things has worked for millions of people, and it has to work for you also. I think that is the fifth point. And the sixth one is sort of a repeat. Look for ways to keep yourself active. Just don't be on the couch, and just keep moving and things like that. And last but not the least, bad things do happen in life, and how you react is what matters. And you can choose to be happy or unhappy. Okay, and the competition is not with the world or with the person next to you. Okay, its competition is with yourself, with how you were yesterday and how are you performing today relative to that. I think those were the main points. And something interesting that she was telling is, she's going to do a 5K marathon pretty soon. which is pretty impressive, and she's gonna sign up for some social causes, be of some value to the community, and so on. So I hope you like this podcast. Please leave your feedback, send me an email, or if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, just go and put on your comments, and we will go discuss them later. Okay, thank you. Hope it was helpful.